Internal Revenue Service IRS tax news. IRS. Families will soon receive November advanced child tax credit payments. Time running out to sign up online to get an advance payment in December. But first, an attempt at a joke. I apologize in advance. The IRS is auditing me again, attempting to steal more money, and I know I don't stand a chance. But luckily, I do most of my work sitting down. Maybe I have a sitting chance of staying in business, applying essentially the same strategy as I used back when I was a student in the old high school classroom, attempting to control the panic as the looming danger of being selected to read aloud the next paragraph of the textbook was ever present, the strategy being to sit very still, yes, like a possum, but not quite dead, because being dead would certainly draw attention, the instructor feeling obligated to call on me to test for a pulse, making sure they have done their due diligence, the IRS most certainly running over, glee in their eyes as they look forward to picking the dead man's pockets. No, not dead. We must move beyond the strategies of even the crafty possum. Instead, we remain just still, nonchalant, not being a nuisance, but also appearing not to pay close attention, giving the impression that being selected would almost certainly be more trouble than it's worth. Best to pick someone else, avoid the hassle, the time wasted of getting this guy out of whatever trance he's in. The instructor giving the impression that attempting to get this guy through reading an entire paragraph, even a short one, will take the rest of class. The IRS left with the impression that this guy can't possibly have much money for us to steal. Best to move on, leaving us the ability to walk out of both the classroom and the audit, surviving another day. IR 2021-222, November 12, 2021, Washington. The Internal Revenue Service and the Treasury Department announced today that millions of American families will soon receive their advanced child tax credit, the CTC payment, for the month of November. Low-income families who are not getting payments and have not filed a tax return can still get one, but they must sign up on IRS.gov by 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time on Monday, November 15th. The fifth batch of advanced monthly payments, totaling about $15 billion, will reach about 36 million families across the country. The majority of payments are being made by direct deposit. Under the American Rescue Plan, most eligible families received payments dated July 15th, August 13th, September 15th, and October 15th. The last payment for 2022 is scheduled for December 15th. For these families, each payment is up to $300 per month for each child under age 6, up to $250 per month for each child ages 6 through 17. Here are more details on the November payments. Families will see the direct deposit payments in their accounts starting November 15th. Like the prior payments, the vast majority of families will receive them by direct deposit. For those receiving payments by paper check, be sure to allow extra time through end of November for delivery by mail. Those wishing to receive their December payment by direct deposit can make this change using the Child Tax Credit Update portal, available only on IRS.gov. Be sure to make the change by 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time on November 29th. To access the portal, you can visit the IRS.gov/Child Tax Credit 2021 link. There's a link to that here. Payments are going to eligible families who file 2019 or 2020 income tax return. Returns processed by November 1st are reflected in these payments. This includes people who don't typically file a return, but either during 2020 successfully filed a return to register for the economic impact payments using the IRS non-filer tool on IRS.gov, or in 2021 successfully filed a return by using the non-filer sign-up tool for advanced CTC. There's a link to that here. Payments are automatic aside from filing a tax return, including a return from the non-filer sign-up tool. Families don't have to do anything if they are eligible to receive monthly payments. Families who did not get a July, August, September, or October payment and are getting their first monthly payment this month will still receive the total advance payment amount for the year, which is half of their total child tax credit. This means that the total payment will be spread over 2 months rather than 6 months, making each monthly payment larger. So that's where it gets confusing here. Let me just see if I can recap this. The child tax credit normally, and there's an exception this time, but normally it's going to be something that you're going to get when you file the tax return. So for 2021, for example, you would normally be filing for the child tax credit when you file the tax return by April 15th of 2022. But now, of course, they want to get part of it and make it a prepayment so that they can give it out in advance in the year of 2021. To do that, they increased the amount of the credit. So if you were not to get the prepayment and you were just to file the tax return by April 15th, 2022, the credit amount would be larger. And then they also made it a little bit easier so that so there weren't as much kind of things going on that could complicate it. For example, they made the whole thing that refundable type of credit, meaning that even if your tax liability goes below zero, you'd still get the credit. So that makes it a little bit easier to predict what the credit will be. And then they want to take, in essence, half of that credit and apply it out over 2021, which is what they have in essence been doing. Now, although they simplified it to make that an easier process, it's still not perfect because we can imagine situations where the estimate's going to be off. For example, they're still going to have to base it on 2020 and 2019 tax return or the non-filer tool, if that's what they have. And you can imagine situations where you have a joint custody, for example, and one child is basically in the custody on one tax return and on another tax return in the following year. So that would mean that the credit, you would think, if it were based on the prior year, might be going to the wrong individual. You can imagine situations where there's a new child or an adoption or something that happened in 2021 where they're not going to get the prepayment because they weren't on the tax return in 2020 or 2019. You can also imagine situations where the income level is higher in 2020 or lower in 2020, the year in which they based the credit calculation on, than it is in 2021, the actual year, resulting in a phase out of the amount of credit would be, and that would be different than what it actually should be since it's based on the prior year. So these kind of things could cause problems and result in, the payments being different than what they will actually be when you file the tax return and they actually know the information by April 15th of 2022. So what that means is it's possible that you didn't get the maximum payments that they were talking about up here for the 300 and the 250. These calculations are based on the idea that they're going to take the full credit and then allocate it over the 6-month time period. If you told them at a later point and you said, hey, look, I qualify, I have a qualifying child here, but you didn't know about it for the last 5 payments or so, or 4 payments or whatever, then what they're going to do is that's when you might get an higher payment, because what they're going to do is still calculate half the credit, what they think the credit's going to be, and then divide it by however many payments we have left, which might be just 2 now instead of 6, or maybe even 1, which means the payment will be higher. So in essence, if they've been sending you the payments out the whole time, then the maximum payments, as they're saying here on a per child basis, would be the 300 or the 250. But if they missed some of those payments and then you corrected it so that then they're going to do a makeup kind of thing, they're still going to try to take half what the credit would be, allocate the payments over the remaining time frame, which might be 1 to 2 months, which would result in higher payments. Okay, so now let's go back on down. And so we're going to say sign up by November 15th. Recently, the IRS sent letters to many Americans urging them to check out the child tax credit and, if they qualify, to sign up soon to get advance payments. Whether or not they get one of these letters, an eligible family who is not already getting monthly payments can still sign up to get an advance payment of the child tax credit. Treasury and IRS urge any low-income families who doesn't normally need to file a return to sign up now to get their payments. So in other words, if you're in a situation where you're not filing, basically anybody at this point in time, it seems to me, given the fact that there's going to be these kind of credits, might benefit from filing, because there's an earned income tax credit. So you got the child tax credit now. You've got the stimulus payments that could be impacted. So that would mean that it used to be that if your income was below a certain threshold and you didn't have any withholdings, then it might not be worthwhile to file. And the IRS would say, yeah, you don't have to file because, you don't owe any taxes. And it's a tax. It's an income tax. And if you don't owe any taxes, then we're not going to make you file. But most people these days, if you're under the threshold, then you want to file because they're using the tax code to give the benefit, as a benefit kind of plan, which includes the earned income tax credit, the child tax credit, and now the stimulus payments and so on and so forth. So you would think that most people could benefit. It'd be worthwhile to at least check it out, especially since the software oftentimes is free, to see if you qualify for the credit. So in any case, the deadline is 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time on Monday, November 15th. Right now, they can only sign up online. To do so quickly and securely, you can visit IRS.gov/child tax credit 2021. There's a link to that here. Families can choose to file either in English or Spanish. Families signing up now will normally receive half of their total child tax credit received on December 15th. This means a payment of up to $1,800 for each child under 6 and up to $1,600 for each child ages 6 through 17. Again, if you've been receiving payments already, don't see those numbers and say, whoa, what am I missing here? Because you've already been getting the payments. The only way that would happen is if you hadn't got any of the payments and then you qualified for the payments and then they would take half. That's when you get these larger payments. Okay, so this is the same total amount that most other families have been receiving in up to 6 monthly payments that began in July. Any family who received advance payments of the CTC during 2021 can claim the rest of the credit when they file their 2021 federal income tax return. So if you don't get the CTC payments, don't worry about it, because then you're just going to do it like normal when you file the tax return by April 15th of 2022. So to help them do that, early in 2022, families will receive letter 6419 documenting any advance payments issued to them during 2021 and the number of qualifying children used to calculate the advance payments. So that's it will make the actual calculations of your tax return more difficult now, because now you're going to have to calculate the new credit based on the new rules, which are different than the last year. And then you're going to have to figure out how much they gave you in the prepayments, subtract out the prepayments to give you the credits that you're going to get at the point of filing, which, if everything turns out correctly, I believe would be half the credit after the increase in the credit and so on. So families can make changes to their account. Families who are already receiving monthly payments can use the Child Tax Credit Update Portal, the CTC Up, to quickly update their account. Available only on IRS.gov, CTC Up already allows families to verify their eligibility for payments and then, if they choose, switch from receiving a paper check to direct deposit, change the accounts where the payment is direct deposited, update their mailing address, stop monthly payments, and reflect significant changes in their income that could potentially rise or lower their monthly payments. Updates made by 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time on November 29th will be reflected in the monthly payment scheduled for December 15th. Later this month, the IRS will launch a Spanish language version of the tool. It's about time. It's kind of late. It's a little late here. You only got, November? Oh, but in any case, por favor. So in addition, new features will be added to enable families to raise or lower their final monthly payment to reflect life changes, such as another child born or adopted in 2021. Wait a second, they're finally hitting that one too. So in addition, new features will be added to enable families to raise or lower their final monthly payment to reflect life changes, such as another child. So that's one of the obvious things that you would think that they might have picked up here a little bit earlier. What is it again? November? It's November, I'm pretty sure. So if someone was born, obviously, or an adoption happened in 2021, then they wouldn't have picked that one up because it wouldn't have been on the prior tax return in 2020 or 2019. So community partners can help. The IRS encourages partners and community groups to share information and use available online tools and toolkits. There's a link to those here to help non-filers, low-income families, and other underserved groups sign up to receive these benefits. Links to online tools, answers to frequently asked questions, and other helpful resources are available on the IRS Special Advanced CTC 2021 page. There's a link to that here. There'll be a link to this in the description.